www.bobdecker.net. And, of course, they can always go up on www.griffonsloft.com.
And they'll see you on there.
They'll see me on there. They can find out also more about our loft.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you ever, you can't do past life regression over the phone, right? That's not like a reading that you can do that, correct?
I'll put it to you this way. It can be done, but what it requires is that the person make sure they're connected to a landline and that they have a headset.
Okay.
Okay? This is not my preferred way of doing it, all right? But I know it can be done. I know Dick does them. He will do regression by phone, but he requires that they have a certain type of headset, that they're connected to a landline. He doesn't want them disconnecting.
What if they had like a speakerphone situation where they were laying, let's say, on a sofa or on a bed with a speakerphone? Would that also, or?
It probably wouldn't, because what happens is when you go into the regress state, you go into a deeper hypnotic state, your voice becomes very low.
Oh, okay.
This is my perennial challenge in regressing people, is hearing what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I've tried to overcome that in various ways with varying degrees of success. But that's always the challenge, and usually it amounts to, if they're really low, using a miking system to bring the voice up or run it through like a guitar amplifier at low volume or moderate volume so I can hear them.
Okay.
Okay? But that's the basic thing with the phone. It's nothing I would advertise that I do. If somebody really had to have it distant, I would be willing to do it, you know, given that certain conditions are met.
And I ask out of curiosity because up until now I didn't think it could be possible. I figured that you had to be in person to...
No, it can be done by the phone, but it's not the preferred modality. I really prefer face-to-face.
I would think for something like that you would want to be...
You'd want to be with the person there. Yeah.
I'm thinking that a lot of emotions, a lot of situations can come up, and to be, you know, connected simply by a phone, alone in a room, isn't the preferred.
Yeah, it's not optimal. I want to see the body language, the gesturing that's going on, because some people get very expressive. I want to see the face. If they're crying, I want to wipe away their tears, which I do. You know, because people do release during the sessions, and I encourage them. I'm totally okay with it, and I'll wipe away their tears. I'm not going to let them sit there and cry puddles all over themselves and not, you know, do something for them.
Now, you've done group past life regression here at the Griffin's Loft, and so how do you control that when you have so many people going through different emotions? Does it get that deep? Well,
they can get potentially
I'm thinking, like, how does it not get confusing with people going through different situations? It's almost like being in a room filled with 10 different babies crying all at the same time.
Can you imagine?
Who do you go to
first? Like if you have a
first?
room of 20 and 2 are really having a traumatic experience.
Okay, well, number one, what we do in a group past life regression, there's several things that prevent this from getting just really out of hand. Okay, number one, people are given a self-releasing suggestion.
Okay,
they can count from 1 to 5, say to themselves, wide awake, and they can return to full waking consciousness. Second of all, they're led by events. Okay, like I'll say, you know, you're going to go back now and you're going to see your educational experience in a past life. And then all fall silent and they just silently experience it. Now, if somebody is really upset, and this once in a while will come up, I have techniques that I'm trained in. I'm a neuro-linguistic programmer as well as a hypnotist, which means I have techniques that work very quickly to help erase trauma, to help erase negative emotions. And I've done that in group. I had a woman that was very upset. Her husband in this life had killed her in a previous life. It was kind of being abusive in this life. And right there we, you know, before we went into the next thing, I took her into a process, which took about maybe 5 minutes at the most. And then I said to her, are you ready to continue or would you rather leave? She goes, no, I'm good now. Everything's fine. I'll continue with you. Okay, because these kind of things can be handled very quickly when they need to be.
Okay.
But they don't get out of hand because you are getting them self-release. Now, if you got a really big group, I mean, Dick will do, he'll do a big group if he gets it together. He'll have assistants. He'll have people that will go into the audience and hand out Kleenex. Okay. Or in extreme cases, they'll put headphones on somebody with a tape, and the tape will say, you're now calm and peace, you'll go to a happy place, you know, to take them to where they're not getting hysterical and all worked up over it.
Yeah, no, because it is. I mean, I've always thought of that when you've done them. It's like, how do you really control? Because I'm always thinking that in past life regressions, and you mentioned that there's a lot of emotion that comes through, a lot of releasing, and so how do you deal with that in such big groups and stuff like that? So now you do hypnotherapy here, and you have done in the past sessions to help people with smoking, with weight, food addiction, and the past life regression also assist in certain situations like that? Like, is there a reason? I would think even with like the food addiction, are there karmic situations that can lead a person to something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have one myself. I have tended to, for a good part of my life, struggle with being overweight. Okay? One day I did, and one day I did a past life, a self-regression, which you can also do. You can regress yourself. Okay? And I went back to the root cause of some of my food issues, and I went back to a past life in which I was a hermit in medieval Egypt. Okay? And I went on a vision quest, and I decided I would fast until I attained my goal. It basically was enlightenment or spiritual vision. Well, to make it short, the vision quest failed. Or I failed the vision quest. I starved to death.
Oh.
And consequently...
So that came into this life.
That came into this life.
And now, oh my goodness.
So this, okay.
Another example of this, okay, and again, this is one of Dick's clients, but it's a real good example of this. There was a woman who at one time was in a harem of a king, and she was very, very beautiful. And the king would favor her. And if he had guests arrive, royal guests, he would share his favorite slaves, sex slaves, with the visitors. So she often got shared. And one time she was severely mistreated by the visitors. She was beaten. So to protect herself, she proceeded to overeat. So she destroyed her figure so that she would not be
sexually attractive.
She would not be sexually attractive. And this carried over into this life. Now, some hypnotists have taken this too far. They'll say everybody that's overweight, it's because they have fear of sex. They're putting on the pounds, so,
excuse me. I don't always think it's the case.
Yeah, and that's not the case. Okay, that's simply not true. You know, if you have a therapist that just insists that...
a lot of people gain weight when they go into a relationship because then you settle down and you get comfortable. So it's actually, no, it can't be true.
Right, it's not. Yeah. It's not. It's very foolish to just say blanket, well, it's because of sex abuse is why you're overweight. You know,
well, and then there are also emotional eaters. That when they're emotionally charged up, be it happy or sad, food is...
comforting.
The comfort, it's the reward sometimes as well.
The taste of chocolate.
That's reward. That's not a bad reward, Holly. That's a good reward.
Well, let's go back to the stone. You were in the water. You were saying karma, then dharma, then the twin flames.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to our.
We did karma. Let's go into dharma.
Okay, dharma is a Hindu word that basically is very wide-ranging. The best way to describe it is purpose. These are soulmates who unite for a purpose. The purpose might be to make a baby who grows up to do something important in the world, or to create a business, an institution, write a book, create a piece of art, whatever it may be. Once the dharma, the purpose, is accomplished, the soulmates may or may not stay together, depending on, again, other factors that are involved. Then you have the twin flames. The twin flames have had many lifetimes together. They have spiritually evolved to a considerable degree. Between the twin flames, there is no friction. They burn as one. It is complete union sexually, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels, a powerful union. Nothing will come between the twin flames.
So these are the ones that you find that are married 50, 60, 70 years?
Yeah, it'd be somebody like that, okay? This would be somebody like that, and they're totally content. And they may have problems.
They're 16 and they're together till they're in their 80s.
That's a possible scenario.
Okay.
And it's quite possible they may have many problems in their lives, but the problems will never